Good morning, you're watching CNN News 18's Head Start with me, Toya Singh. It's a Sunday morning. Let's take a very quick look at what the top stories are going to be through the rest of the day today. You know that Delhi's air quality has been in focus. Now in an exclusive interview to CNN News 18, Punjab's Chief Minister Amarinder Singh has said that the centre must aid the state for stubble management. He's added that states cannot foot any extra bills because of GST. And as the air quality in Delhi continues very much to remain hazardous, India takes on Bangladesh in the first T20 of the series in the densely polluted Kotla grounds. And as Prime Minister Modi is in the ASEAN meetings today, the opposition targets the government of the controversial RCEP agreement. It's warned against turning India into a, quote, dumping ground for Chinese goods. In Karnataka, the Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa defends himself and his party in a horse trading video controversy. He tells CNN News 18 that MLAs resigned on their own. The Congress says it's going to be approaching the Supreme Court. Politics continues to play out after the WhatsApp snooping row as Congress President Sonia Gandhi and West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee take on the Modi government over the controversy. Pollution levels yesterday touched the severe category in the Delhi NCR region. One of the key factors that's been led to be a cause time and time again is stubble burning taking place in two neighbouring states, Punjab and Haryana. CNN News 18 has now spoken exclusively to the Punjab Chief Minister, Captain Amarinder Singh. He has said that the centre must aid the state for stubble management. He's also accused the Delhi Chief Minister, Arvind Kejriwal, of passing the buck without taking any of his own effective action measures. He's also added that states cannot foot any extra bills because of the GST in place. Take a look.
Let me start with the question that anybody who lives in Delhi and is watching this program is going to think, are you responsible for this noxious air outside our window? Is the poisoning of the citizens of Delhi the fault of Punjab?
Not the fault of Punjab, but certainly there's a contribution.
Yeah.
We must remember that the winds, the upper winds are all westerlies. And so you got smoke from Pakistan coming to us, ours going to Haryana, and it goes down the line. But having said that, the parameters are higher in Delhi than ours. But certainly some contribution must be there. But you know, to put the blame on Punjab, that's absolutely incorrect. Because as I said, the statistics which are given out on pollution are higher in Delhi than Punjab.
So why can't, but you do accept that stubble burning is part of the reason for Delhi's problems. So why can't something be done about this?
I think as of yesterday, over 40,000 farmers have been penalized. But when earlier on it was done in 17 and 18, the High Court let them go. They didn't have to pay the fine. So I think these trade unions, which are the farmers' unions which are there, we've got about 39 of them. And each one is competing with the other and say, you go ahead, nothing's going to happen, and getting the farmers to do this. Now, I understand they doing it for their political ascendancy. But on the other hand, I understand the problems of the farmers. And we have tried to take this up with the government of India to say that unless you know, 70% of my farmers are less than 5 acres of land.
Yeah.
And they don't have the money to do an extra 1 or 2 tillings of the soil. So unless the government compensates them, it's not going to work.
There's a suggestion from the AAP party and from Mr. Kejriwal that they should write letters to Amarinder uncle and tell Amarinder uncle not to poison them.
Mr. Kejriwal, they are playing games. This is not a question of something to play games about and to say Mr. Khattar uncle or Mr. Amarinder uncle should stop this. What about himself? What is he doing in Delhi?
All right, we'll be bringing you more takeaways from that story in a little bit, but let's move very quickly on to the big international story that we have for you. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is right now in Bangkok. He's over there to attend the 16th ASEAN, that's the Association of Southeast Asian Nations India Summit. Now, Prime Minister Modi has hailed the strong cultural ties between India and Thailand in Bangkok. That took place yesterday. Right now, on your screens, the footage that you're seeing is of him attending the Aditya Birla Group Golden Jubilee celebrations. Today, all eyes are going to be on the RCEP deal, whether or not it's going to be signed And the entire deal will lead to the creation of the biggest free trade region in the world. 60 nations are home to over 3.6 billion people that will be participating in this deal. India is arguing that while it wants to sign, it requires a comprehensive and balanced outcome and a balance across goods and services agreements. In the same time, the opposition is arguing that the deal will make India a, quote, dumping ground for Chinese goods. They've also argued that it's going to harm the country's farmers. My colleague, Deputy Editor Maha Siddiqui, is with us on the phone this morning. Maha, the first question for you. There are initial reports that are indicating that hopes are already fading for the RCEP deal to be signed this year. Some reports are saying the talks won't be finished until February. Can those reports be confirmed?
Yes, this is the sense that we have also been getting from our sources. And at least it appears that India is going to put its foot down over the conditions that India should not become a dumping ground for especially Chinese goods, because that's the biggest fear that India has. The Stung affiliates have also been opposing this tooth and nail. So under these circumstances, Toya, it does appear that India might hesitate in signing this. Now, what does that lead to? That leads to the fact that the 15 other countries then will have to go back to the drawing table to renegotiate this deal, because if one country pulls out or says that it is not ready at the moment to sign, it is still possible that they can sign it, but they will have to renegotiate this deal. So at the moment, it does appear that unless and until those safeguards are made present in the deal itself, that India's interests will be protected, as well as there will be some measure which is reciprocal in nature. For instance, if India is opening up its markets, it requires that through this RCEP deal, India should also, or Indian companies and Indian businessmen should also benefit out of the deal. So those elements still need to be worked out. It has been made pretty clear by Secretary East before this visit started that concerns are there, they will be raised. And the Prime Minister yesterday in his interview to Bangkok Post has also pretty much highlighted the same thing.
Maha, could you highlight for us what concerns that have come across from farmers' groups have been? I know, for instance, the dairy industry has been expressing for some time some opposition to the RCEP deal. Could you explain that to our audiences?
So, for instance, if you take a look at some of the products, for instance, basmati rice. Now, India has been asking China to open up its markets, and this was one of the proposals that has been put, in fact, to even balance out the huge trade deficit between India and China. Non-basmati rice is exported, but basmati rice, rapeseed oil, India wants more market access in China for that, which hasn't happened in the recent past. Farmers have been saying and have been asking the Ministry of External Affairs, this was a report just put out some weeks back, that not just rice, but even for other grains, farmers have been saying that they produce quite a bit, and they require the government to look for other markets where they can export their products. So these are some of the issues that the farmers are looking at. Their concern now is that if this agreement is signed, which is pretty much like a free trade agreement with the rest of the ASEAN countries, which are 10 in number, is something that doesn't really bother India much. The biggest issue here is that apart from signing this deal with the ASEAN countries, there are 6 other countries involved, which also includes China, which will in fact mean that we will be signing a de facto free trade agreement with China as well. And that could really, because this entire deal brings down the tariffs, says that tariffs have to be lowered, which will effectively mean that China is going to bring about its products, dump them in the Indian market. So while the Indian farmers will probably not get a market elsewhere for their products, the fear is that other products will come into India, and that will further reduce their markets domestically in India.
So, Maha, could you also tell us what the argument has been then in pro of the RCEP agreement? Because I know that one of the continuous arguments is that Indian industries just need to become more competitive and prepare themselves effectively for what is inevitable.
Yes, so India has been saying that having a deal with the ASEAN countries, which are in the neighborhood, as well as the other 5 countries, which again will be in the extended neighborhood, will in fact bring about some methodology of trading, a free trade agreement that will benefit all, because these countries are all within the region, and an agreement of this nature can bring about seamless trade in all these countries. But the point here remains that while there is seamless trade happening, it should be beneficial to all the countries as well. And in that context, India feels that India might not benefit as much as the other countries might benefit, even though having a trade agreement in the immediate neighborhood in itself is a good idea. And I think that is something that India has been trying to, that idea suggestion India has been trying to drive through. There have been a lot of, glitches, negotiations over that. Other countries have been, trying to pile pressure on India to come on board. They have been insisting that it will be good for the region. For India itself, ASEAN countries become extremely important because of this East Act East policy, also safeguarding Indo-Pacific. So all those issues become intertwined, and that is why, even though at the moment there is a lot of pressure to come on board RCEP, it does appear that India might hold out till such time as the deal figures out that it can safeguard the interests of India as well.
Thank you so much, Maha, for illuminating that situation for us, for our audiences. The footage that you're seeing right now on your screens is Prime Minister Modi participating in the Aditya Birla Group Golden Jubilee celebrations. They started in Thailand quite a few years ago, and that's what those celebrations are for. After this, Prime Minister Modi is going to be heading to the ASEAN summit with India and with the other Asian countries. That's when he's going to be participating in it. We will bring you updates from that story through the rest of the day, but let's very quickly move back to the story we were talking about a little earlier. Pollution levels in Delhi and how they've remained in focus. The Delhi government has recently been hitting out at the Union Minister for Environment, that's Prakash Javadekar. They're saying that he's refused to meet them on the pollution issue in the national capital. According to the Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia, 3 meetings were repeatedly cancelled, first on September 12th, then on October 17th and 19th. Sisodia went on to say that Javadekar does not even have time, or the issue is simply not important enough to him. Delhi's Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has also written to Javadekar requesting him to deliver a concrete, workable plan to tackle the recurring pollution crisis. So over there, we're seeing that struggle taking place between the AAP government in Delhi and the BJP government in the centre. Now, here's what AAP leader Aatishi Marlina had to say on the pollution crisis and Prakash Javadekar, the Union Environment Minister's response. Take a look.
The point that the Minister of Environment is making is that they have taken a few steps and it is important to work together.
We are always ready to work together. But why are the only steps that are being taken only in Delhi, where people of Delhi are expected to make the sacrifices? Yes, Delhi government and central government have worked together to curb pollution in Delhi. But central government and the governments of Haryana and Punjab will have to take steps to prevent the stubble burning. Central government's own data from Safar this morning said that 46% of PM 2.5 in Delhi is coming from stubble burning. But if 46% pollution is coming from stubble burning from Haryana and Punjab, then those governments and the central government will have to resolve that problem.
Now, there's been, as you know already, quite an uproar over the worsening air conditions in the national capital. India is actually going to be taking on Bangladesh in the first T20 International at Firozshah Kotla today. There's been quite a bit of controversy over whether or not the weather conditions and the air quality is fair for players to play in, because when one is playing sports, they're breathing faster and the air is entering into the bloodstream. The pollutants are entering into sports players' bloodstreams. Now, the rationale behind hosting the match in Delhi has been questioned. This is at a time when the city is battling the worst air pollution it's seen till now in the year. The BCCI is ruling out shifting the tie at the last minute. They're saying due to logistic issues, they can't move it anywhere else. The visiting side is not complaining, but the resulting health concerns and the ban imposed on Bangladesh's iconic all-rounder Shakib Al Hasan just before the tour have hogged more limelight in the build-up to the 3-match series. Now, the AQI is expected to recover today to the upper end of the very poor category. A drastic reduction was recorded in effective stubble burning in the entire northwest India. Now, my colleague Sagar Gupta brings you the picture from the ground, that is the stadium. Take a look.
India and Bangladesh will play the first T20 International on Sunday in the national capital. but Delhi's air quality is what making the headlines. Though SDMC is making all arrangements to combat air pollution at the venue, but currently at the venue the air quality index is 496, which is considered to be hazardous. And you can also see the smoke. We are just less than 100 meters away from the ground, but the smoke has completely engulfed the ground. No player has complained so far. R. Ashwin took to Twitter saying Delhi's air quality is very scary.
And as the air quality remains very much in focus, it's time right now for a short break. But as we move into the break, do take a look at the air quality indexes from various parts of Delhi and